And what I would like to do is I'm just going to sign in right now and want to highlight a few things. First of all, we have been updating also the calendar, so don't be confused that the original times have changed. It's also mentioned here in the overview that this is preliminary, depending on how many people we have and how the request from participants to have a bit more time. I also wanted to clarify, there is financial recognition. We have prices that are there, but in addition to the monetary incentives that best solution will get, and also some improvement incentives for people that don't make it to the top 3, there'll also be some additional, I think, motivational aspects. So first of all, every participant will get a certificate. Solutions that we think are interesting will be showcased. And then there's also a fellowship opportunity, sorry. And so those that we think are highly engaged right now, we'll look into have a discussion afterwards, because we're preparing more of those things, and they could then work as a team here with IronHacks as a fellow, and work as a data scientist, a junior data scientist with us, and help us to grow that movement further. So I wanted to share that before we go into some technical details. In case you haven't seen that, but this is a kind of living document, our tutorials. So we have also updated the info session slides here, if you have given you info sessions, and also videos. And the part 2, for example, here, we have also just updated that. So what I'm going to show you right now is actually an updated version of the R notebook that we produced here, and that we also, that you can also then use, in case you haven't already, to access some new tutorial data sets. We have added some weather data, and this weather data have a similar time frame like the testing COVID data. So that'd be a great opportunity to now start joining these data sets and potentially doing some correlation. Those are the things you will be doing as soon as you will get the tasks and the data sets. So there's not much effort needed for working with different tables. The only thing that you potentially have to do is maybe joining 2 tables, but the rest is done. There's no need for aggregation or checking missing values and so on. So that's why there's not much pre-processing to be done. That's all taken care of. It's all cleaned. So I'm just right now going to do this, and I'm going to run that notebook. If you already know that, then I apologize, but we're still going to run it, because in case someone wants to watch afterwards and they haven't actually done it, that might be actually useful. In case you are interested and following along, what you can actually do is you can click on this one here, and then you actually see our internal notebook viewer that's rendered within our platform, and then you can also download that notebook here right away. So you could download it wherever you have a project, where you have your project. I'm just going to put it on downloads, and then you can go to your workspace and just import it. Just go back. So this is actually what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go here, go into my workspace, and I'm now, actually I have it already there, but you could also just import it. So here we go. We could just do that. That's the one that I just downloaded. No, I don't want to override it. I have it already there. So do it and then it will load. Okay. So that's a 2D called it 2D. It's a little bit just as it also adds some additional information. So I just want to go through this one more time with the key usage, the key that you use to access BigQuery, because we've been seeing that there's been some struggle among some participants. I'm not going to repeat this all again, but the reason why we're actually using BigQuery is the following. The data we are getting is from a company called SafeGraph, and that's very big. It's in a kind of scope of terabytes. And then we have additional data sets from our chief data officer. You might have watched the video also on our start page, and also from the Department of Workforce Development. But we have them to do some pre-processing, and for that, actually, you can't do this on a local machine, or you need to have a very expensive computer for doing that. In addition to that, it's also kind of a flagship product. So if you get a little bit familiar with BigQuery right now, you can also prepare yourself for the future. Some companies are moving towards BigQuery and get rid of Spark or Hadoop, which are other big data products out there. So it's a data warehousing system product. We have given you access to BigQuery in two kind of projects, in 2 data sets. That's also written in tutorial, IRHacks COVID training and IRHacks competition. So please do not get confused. Training here is really now in our training phase. We should have maybe called that tutorial phase, because later on when we actually give you the competition data sets, there will be actually a training and a validation set. So like a classical prediction machine learning environment. So the training, or you can call it estimation data sets, that's what you use to build your prediction. And then you have a smaller set, that's the validation set. For those, actually, we miss values and we ask you to predict those. Okay, so in the training data sets right now, we have provided you with some data sets, and just as of last night, we've added an additional data set. Let me just run this right now. So this is now in R, and you can actually access the BigQuery with this notebook without actually having to go to BigQuery. You don't have to do that. It's an interface, and you don't even have to write SQL code. I will not do this all the way through, because I'm just going to go to that step where I can actually load the tables and get started. That's the only thing I want to achieve today, but I want to make sure that you know how to get there, how to use the key and set up your authorization that you can actually use BigQuery. So that's kind of the most important step. So once you have loaded the libraries, you can get started with that. Let me just explain again. BigQuery is the library in R that allows you to interface with BigQuery. And there's DBI, which is a general library that can also be used with other data management systems. And it separates between front end and back end. And in this case, you could say the back end is BigQuery, but you can also have an SQLite, etc. And then there's SIPL from the Tidyverse package that also allows you to use together with BigQuery, BigQuery. So many BigQueries and BigQueries. So section 2. Now, how do I actually get my key? An important step again, and I want to make sure that you all know that, because we have not that many people doing this or understanding that. To get the key, you have to go to your profile. Oops. And then here at the top, you can download your key. And that's really an important step. So you download that key, save it. And then in your environment, oops, I'm in the wrong tab, you then upload that again. I suggest that you upload it at the highest level. So then you go to download, and then you put that service account in there. Okay? You see I've already done that. I called it service account 3 because I had so many ones. You can name it whatever you want, but that's what you do. Okay? So you open that, and then you put it in here. Okay. Very important step, because that's needed. Without that key, you cannot actually query the database. What happens next? So once I've done that, I use the function from BigQuery and in Google. By the way, I forgot to mention that there's also a parallel notebook in Python. It does a similar thing, and you can also then just work in with a Python script. What you then do is you establish that path, and that path here is always the same. So it's Sahom and Jovan. Here a side note: this is the person who built the container for the stupid hub, and then you put the path for your service account. Okay, that's kind of important. You can also, if you want to figure out where that is, so here you list the files, and you see here I would have that service account, and then from there you would also see where it is. If you have it nested somewhere in tutorials, for sure it's then in the path below. So once you have done that, set that kind of correct path here when you run that function, the command, sorry. then you should get authorized. So, and then running the next one, and then it tells you that it has a token. So I got true, so you're good to go. With a few next commands that all come from the big R query that are just there to actually tell you what we have in there. So I'm asking, how many projects do I have with this key? It's just one, IronHacks COVID-19 data. Then I ask, what are the data sets associated with that? And you see, as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 of those. And then I establish the connection that comes with a DBI package. And I specifically give them here a dataset ID. You can also leave that empty if you want to. It's actually not needed for you, so you don't ever run into that issue, but the command also works without the datasets. And once you have that then, and then you would say list tables, then actually you'll see, I have now these 2, and then I have the other dataset. I'm going to stop here. The only thing I would like you to make sure that you know is that it's in here, but also it's on our tutorial page. We have given you the schema as well, just separately, even though you can easily explore that also with the next commands. You see actually schema with the next commands that I wrote in the notebook. So in this to the test cases, we now also have weather data that we have provided for you also temporally. And then you have separate insight, humidity, temperature, and so on. So if you're curious, you could actually start now joining those. That's what the next SQL tutorial will do. You can also run see how it's somehow correlated and prepare yourself a little bit for the data sets you would get. So kind of a hint, the data set you will get will be temporal, and it will have several variables that you can use to predict one important aspect of COVID's impact, which is the footprint or the visitor counts at key brands. So also giving you a little bit of a hint on that. It will be a much bigger data set than this one, but it's already aggregated and there's no need for you to merge across different places, etc. It is at the brand or what we call merchant level. So something like Target, something like Domino's Pizza. For that, you will make prediction based on variables that we have pre-processed for you. Okay, so what I would do, I'm just going to go back, I guess, to my notebook. Here we go, sorry about that. So here, you can continue now running that notebook if you want. As we showed you, it is available for download. If we make changes, we always add the new notebook, as you just saw, and you can run it from there. We will also add more of those notebooks that you can just download directly from our viewer. Some final statement. There's also now on the forum, if there's some updates, you should get an email. So you should be notified if you're posting something. I'll post something tomorrow also related to that with a link to this information, and also some other insights that might be relevant. As I said, our partners, the Chief Data Science Officer and also DWD, they're very excited that you work on that, and they're looking forward to your contribution.